slate it.
Film 101, roll 1, take 27. Scene 27, take 1.
Out, slate out. And cut. Speed. And stick it. And slate it.
Roll 1, scene 27, take 1.
Second six.
Second sticks.
This is proper. And stick it.
Roll 1, scene 27, take 1. Mark.
And cut. And tail slate. And tail slate, please. And cut. And just leave it in, because otherwise.
Fix it in post.
Roll 1, scene 27, take 1.
Rolling.
We'll leave it the same. Take 2. 1.
And mark it.
27 apple, take 2.
Rolling. And mark it.
27 apple, take 1. Soft sticks. Mark. When you're ready.
Roll 1, scene 27, take 1, mark.
And then scamper out. And then
Hold it. Okay, and roll sound.
Sound speed.
And roll camera.
camera speeds.
And slate it.
Roll 1, scene 27, take 1, mark.
Set.
And action. Okay, slate in. Nice.
Camera A, mark. Camera B, mark. Camera C, mark. Common sticks.
We're rolling head slate. Hold the slate in, please. And hold the gray card in. And we got it. Thank you.
There are many varieties of high-def cameras. We'll just take a look at one to illustrate some of the basic principles of camera prep. The first thing you want to do is check your lens and lens mount. Make sure they match. This particular lens mount has a locator pin. We want to make sure that aligns properly. When handling lenses, go slowly. Take your time. Never let go of the lens until you're certain it is secure. Then plug in all your necessary cables. When adding the follow focus, you want to make sure it's snug and secure, but not so tight that it binds the lens and makes it difficult to focus. Here we're checking the neutral density filters. Having a neutral density filter on the wrong setting can be disastrous. Of course, you want to check all of your other settings as well, such as shutter speed, frame rate, and so on. Next, make sure your color balance filters are at the correct settings. You'll also want a white balance, which we'll cover separately. Set your diopter to your eye so you can focus. Setting timecode varies from camera to camera, but they all have preset and regen, F-run, and R-run. F-run is free run, meaning the timecode advances all the time, even when the camera's off. R-run, or record run, only advances the timecode when you're doing a shot. The general principle is to set the hours of the timecode, the first 2 digits, to match the roll number, tape number, or card number. If you don't do this, you'll end up with lots of duplicate timecodes, which is a disaster for the editor. Setting your back focus is one of the most crucial operations you can do in camera prep. If back focus isn't set, your focus won't track as you zoom in and out. You need to check the back focus at the beginning of every day, and again if the temperature changes enough that you might want to add or subtract a layer of clothing. First of all, make sure the aperture is wide open. We want minimum depth of field to set critical focus. Loosen the back focus ring. You'll need a good focus chart, such as this Siemens star. You want it roughly 8 feet away from the camera. First, zoom all the way in. When zoomed in, use the normal focus ring or the follow focus. Then zoom out. When you're zoomed out, use the back focus ring to set the focus. This is where a good focus chart really comes in handy. Zoom back in to check it. Zoom out again and check the back focus ring. Repeat the procedure as often as necessary until focus tracks perfectly as you zoom in and out. Once you're set, tighten the back focus. Snug, but not over tight. Let's take a look at some of the basic principles of using a light meter. Most often you will use the incident meter with the dome. The incident meter averages all the light hitting the subject. You hold it at the subject position, point the dome at the camera, and shield stray lights such as backlights or kickers with your other hand. This is the reading that will tell you where to set your iris. With the spot meter, you point it at individual areas of the subject. Spot meter is very useful for green screen, if you have practical lamps, windows, or other bright sources on the set. The incident meter with the flat plate is useful for reading one light at a time, such as when you're determining contrast ratios.
Let's start with the C-stand or the Century stand. This is a full-size C-stand. There is also a shorter one called the Coleman, and then you can get a variety of arm lengths to put on these C-stands. You have here the arm, the gobo head, and then the stand itself. When setting up a C-stand, you will always follow the right-hand rule. That means that you're going to keep the knuckles of the gobo head and arm on the right side. So that way when you put an object, whether it be a flag or a light, that it will tighten upon itself. So, when you arm it out, the weight is here. It presses down and is constantly keeping itself tight. The incorrect way to do this would be going to this side. Almost no matter how tight you get this, if you put any weight on this, it will start to just fall right off. Another rule to always follow with the C-stand is make sure that your weight is placed over the high leg. Then, once you have your fixture set, always grab a sandbag and put this also over the high leg. Depending upon weight, can vary how much sand you need to put on that C-stand. When opening a C-stand of this particular model, you will loosen right down here. And there's two ways. You can either do it by hand or simply twist. Tighten the knuckle back, and you're good to go. Same action can take place when closing it. Loosen it back up. Pop the top one just a little bit, pop up the second one, and they'll fall right into place for you. This is a method that is used to keep clutter down to a minimum on sets, and to also make it very easy for you to grab after C-stands. All it is just put the highest leg over the medium leg, and you'll just start stacking C-stand after C-stand. This is a 2x3 solid, also called a 24x36, and then the solid itself can be called a cutter or a flag. The flag will not allow light to bounce off of it, and it also gives you a hard cut in the light itself. This is a silk. This will diffuse the light and give you softer shadows. These are your nets. This one is the double, always color-coded red, and it will cut the light by one full stop. This is your single, always color-coded green, and it will cut the light by 1/2 stop. This is your 18x24 solid, 18x24 silk, your nets, both your double in red and your single in green. When transporting these, use what is called a sandwich, taking both solids and placing them on the outside of the singles, doubles, and silks. When staging equipment, never do this. Taking a net that's already leaning against an object and placing a smaller one up against it. As you can see, the pin is pushing into the net, potentially ripping it, causing damage to your equipment. This is a cuckolores, also known as a cookie, and a cello. The cuckolore will allow the light to be a little bit harder coming through, giving you harder edges with the light cutting. This gives you softer breaks in the light. This is a 4x floppy. The 4x cuts the light for you, and it also flops open and can become a 4x8. Here is your 4x silk, and also like its smaller brothers, you have a single and a double net in 4xs. You also have empty frames. This particular one is fitted with 216 diffusion. You can put other diffusions into this. It is important anytime when framing these that you label what you're putting on the empty frame. Or you can put gel. And here we have an unbleached muzz frame. Muzz can be used both as a bounce, or you can shoot the light directly through it for diffusion. This is a C-clamp. This particular one is studded with 2 baby pins. C-clamps are great if you have rafters or wood that you can clamp to on a set. allowing you to have the free space to move around and not worry about stands being in the way. This is a Mayfer clamp. Mayfers are great with speed rail, any wood on set that you have, or stands. Mayfers have a baby pin adapter that is detachable. This is a Cardellini. Like the Mayfer, they're great with both speed rail, wood, or other stands on set. And also like the Mayfer, it is outfitted with a baby pin. Okay, let's look at the clove hitch. Clove hitch is great when attaching to a pole or a pipe. It does not slip, and it is wonderful to use as a safety. You take 2 loops, placing the back one behind the first, and tightening. To safety it off, do a half hitch. And there's your clove hitch. All right, now let's look at the bowline. Great for securing equipment. Make a loop, take your rope, go through the loop, around the rest of your rope, and back through again. Tightening. Now you have another knot that will not slip. This from another angle. Here's a way to memorize how to do this knot. Make your hole. This end is your rabbit. The rabbit comes out of the hole, around the tree, and then back in.